Greetings and welcome. We've got we live in the backwoods, so you're liable to hear gunfire. Uh,
A lot.
that being said, give us a minute. Miss Shaw will turn us on to the swamp, and we'll play a little bit of music to see if we can't get some people on. Mosquito decided to get me right through the shirt. So thank you so much for joining me. And Miss Shaw's going to bump the table.
I'm trying really hard not to. Look at that. Look at that. Can't even tell.
As the camera goes. So we're trying a slightly different setup. I want to know if you guys can hear me okay. Give me some thumbs up if you can. And I'm sorry about the gunfire. We do live in the middle of nowhere.
Somebody wanted to know what they were shooting at. Anything? Each other? I don't know. Hunting season is alive and well down here. They can hunt hogs pretty much any time. And cans anytime. So
There you go.
this is pretty much non-stop this time of year.
Thank you, Zach. So today we're going to talk about offerings and a little bit of history on offerings. If we go back to ancient cultures, there's depictions and pictures and traces that tells us most likely that mankind as a whole has thought about offerings since the beginning. There'll be pictures of giant hands on human figures reaching to the skies. So what this tells us it's in our makeup, in our logical brain, to make offerings to higher beings, to other things, right? And with the understanding that in turn we'll most likely receive an offering in return from those beings. So it's kind of an exchange, right? And it's just good manners. If we go to someone's house and we don't come with anything, then we're not being very good guests. And when we invite someone to our home and we don't offer them anything, we're not being very good hosts. So it would venture to guess, if we wanted to talk or have a relationship with anything, that includes our neighbor, that includes the land spirits, that includes our ancestors, some god somewhere, we might want to start with a how do you do? Introduce ourselves and give an offering. Because I don't know about you, but I come from the line of school, the line of thought that says, if someone goes up on my door and asking for something that costs me something, and I don't know them, I'm going to get them out of my yard. I'm not going to help them unless Spirit moves me to do so. But generally speaking, I'm not going to give them 2 seconds into my day, because I don't know who they are. It'd be like walking down New York the streets of New York City, and a raggedy bum come up to you and ask you for $1,000. You ain't gonna give him $1,000. You don't know him. You don't owe him anything. Offerings change that relationship. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Do you have anything to add to the intro?
No, I think you covered most of it. Yeah.
You're going to have to speak louder.
Okay. I was thinking.
Okay, so when we think about offerings, we have to recognize that it is not what is being offered. It is the act of the offering. So, it doesn't matter how poor we are. If we bring something and we say, thank you so much for being part of my life, here is what I have for you. No matter what we're talking to, they're going to respect that. Much more than if we just ask them for something. So, never concern yourself with what the offering is until you get into initiated traditions.
Right.
Right?
Right. Big difference.
So, when we get into initiated traditions, these are recorded events that have proven to be fruitful after the offering. So, if there is a being out there who rewards people who bring pound bread, like Saint Expedite, then it would benefit us to listen to the clergy and listen to the initiates about this and offer him pound bread, pound cake. That doesn't mean that he wouldn't be appreciative of anything else, but history has proven to the initiates that works. So when somebody tells you, oh, you have to, for a particular Loa or a particular deity or saint or ancestor, recognize what they're doing. They're providing you information based off their experience. This does not mean that that is the only option. It is a recommended option, and probably in most cases the most successful recommendation.
Effective.
Right. And at the same time, when we're not offering something that the initiates recognize as traditional, don't try to sell it as being traditional, and don't try to sell it as I'm being told by Spirit to do this, because your hubris isn't that big. You're choosing to offer this with the hopes of success. But your hubris cannot possibly fathom what a greater being would actually want. You're being hopeful, and the only way you'll know is in the end, because hindsight's 20/20. If you fail the offering, nothing will happen. If you succeed the offering, then you may get exactly what you asked for, or you may get partially what you asked for.
You may get nothing.
Yes, but be clear, you're either following the traditional path, or you're doing it your way, hoping for the best. Because that would be fair to initiate paths. So, how do you start offering? The easiest way to start offering would be take something of value that you use daily and place it somewhere so that spirit can guide something else to take it. This is where the land spirits come in really handy, because land spirits have the ability to possess little furry things, right?
But you're cute.
And in doing so, they can steal our offering. So, pick a place, some place that you can make sacred. And the way you make something sacred is simply by cleaning it up, making it pretty and presentable. You make the dining room table sacred before you have guests come over to eat. So this is no different. Collect something that you want to offer. I encourage, start with one meal a week. Pick a meal that you prepared for yourself or your family and plate an extra sitting. Set it at the table, eat your meal, and at the end, take that plate out to your sacred space so you can place the plate there or transfer the items to that sacred space respectfully. Remember, this is supposed to be of value. So we're not just going to fling it out there. Put it out there nice, with the intent, I hope you enjoy this, and then go back inside. What remains or goes is completely irrelevant. Remember, it's about the act of the giving. It's not about the act of the taking or the receiving. We want to be the giver. We want to use that masculine energy to build a relationship that says, I want you to know that I care about you. Sense?
100%.
Okay. Anything to add?
I was going through the process of what we do, and that's how it started, pretty much.
Right. And then what will happen is you'll become compelled. Eventually, as you use the core of our magic, you will discover that you're being prompted to do things. You'll go in the refrigerator to start making a meal, and something will tell you, hey, I gotta go put that apple outside.
Nothing wrong with the apple.
Right.
Just you're
But
compelled to put it out.
Something's compelling you to put it out, besides the apple and your hubris. So you go cut it up, put it outside. This is so effective, just serving the land spirits. We have to recognize that most ancient traditions recognized mankind being tied to the land when somebody in their lineage was buried on that land. So the land spirits are technically your ancestors, being possibly reincarnated as land wits, or simply being recognized as land spirits, right?
A lot of cultures believe they're part of the Fae
Yes.
as well.
So this is important, and it's so powerful. We live right on the cusp of Tornado Alley. We get probably a half a dozen to a dozen tornadoes a year. And we've been on this particular lot for 5 years. We've been offering to the land spirits that entire time. Before we bought the property, we made an offer to see if they were even willing to have a relationship with us before we bought the property, because it belongs to them. We're guests. So, recognizing that, we have had tornadoes jump our property almost every year. And what I mean by jump is the tornado will be on its path going in a particular direction, and it'll destroy our neighbor across the road.
Hit the neighbor that way.
It'll jump us, and it'll hit the neighbor on the other side. Not touch us at all. We atone this to our relationship with the land spirits. This is what makes it possible for us to commune and have a healthy life and a healthy home life. And Sean asked, are those gunshots?
Kimberly said yes. It's the same thing when we were gone this spring.
Yes.
And we had a tree fall. And there was no way that tree fell in the direction that it actually fell. It shouldn't have fallen that way. It was leaning the other way. It should have hit our house. And a couple of days before we knew we were leaving here to go to New Mexico, we both went out. We put out a big offering.
Yes.
And I talked to the land spirits and asked that they protect our property, our home, what remained of the business here, any of the critters that called it home, especially while we're gone. And when we came back, that tree had fallen and it fell the opposite direction. To me, that's a clear sign that they heard us and they were appreciative of our offering and they protected what I asked them to protect. So we put out an offering as soon as we got back too.
Absolutely.
So, and you had said to make the space sacred, and I was just going to add that it doesn't have to be I know a lot of people that watch this may be in an apartment or in town, and it can be as simple an offering as a bowl of milk put out on the back step of your apartment building for stray cats. This time of year, put out some bird seed for the cardinals or the blue jays or whatever kind of birds are passing through your area. Go to a park, take a drive, just find a space that you're comfortable with to put your offering out. It doesn't have to be your space per se, but something that you would visit and develop a relationship with. Just because you may not own property doesn't mean there's not land spirits there that will work with you.
Right.
I just thought that was important to add.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tree asked, what if you don't live where your ancestors lived and died?
Okay. So we have to recognize that those are our family land spirits where our ancestors lived and died. But all land spirits have a connection, the divine oneness. So if all land spirits are connected, then there's truly the potential for you to build a relationship with where you're at, and that relationship will translate to an ancestral relationship as well. Okay? So this is how you start. Land spirits are just the first stepping stone. This is almost like the free pass.
Right.
You make an offering to a land spirit, something's going to come along and take it. This gives you the affirmation and the comfort to know that something was received your offering. The bowl of milk in the back of the apartment complex. When the milk's gone, you know something enjoyed it, right? So that's real easy translation. When we start venerating our ancestors or our ancestral line, then, or influencers, or we start venerating a deity or a god, then that's a little more obscure. That's a little harder to tell. And it takes much more practice and much more patience. So start with the land spirits. Then go to your ancestors. Make them an offering for them. Pay attention to the nuances of what you offer. This is great with Miss Shaw's grandmother. So every week I bring Miss Shaw's grandmother, who I never met, not in living time, a dozen roses. Her favorite flower were roses. So every week I go buy her a dozen roses. Put them in a vase, in a space designed for her. She tells me the ones she likes by how the roses survive. I buy them every week. Some of those roses last for 2 or 3 weeks. Some of those roses die within days. Okay? Some of them bloom super giant. Some of them never do anything. So I've been able to recognize what she enjoys and what she doesn't based off of that relationship. And I've been able to build a relationship with an ancestral line that I'm not connected to by blood. I'm connected to by marriage. But it's still an ancestral influencer. Miss Shaw's grandmother taught Miss Shaw her craft. Her knowledge was passed down. Her memories still exist. So if I don't build a relationship with that energy, I'm not connecting to Miss Shaw 100% because I'm leaving out a very important aspect of her. Right? So do this. Right? Have this relationship with things. Make an offering. How you handle it, completely up to you. What you do with it, as long as it appears to be done out of respect and with honor for both the receiver and the offering itself, it will always be received properly. Okay? Zach asked, what about burning offerings? There's a lot of traditions that actually use fire as a means to send esoteric energy from a natural thing to a supernatural thing. Right? Okay. Anything else?
The only thing I do want to add is you kind of already touched on it, the importance of it's almost like reverence to the food as well. You wouldn't want to just clean out your refrigerator of all the old rotten vegetables from the crisper or the spoiled milk. Take some pride in what you put out, and don't go into it thinking, I'm going to put this out and get payback later. Don't do offerings expecting that
Right.
that payback.
No,
if I do this now, I'll get something for it later. Don't do that.
No. Your return on your investment is they know who you are.
Yes.
That's the gabo. That's the something for something. Right? It's not, I'm going to give you this so you owe me a favor later. I'm going to give you this so you know who I am later. Gary, thank you so much for joining us for the short time that you got to. We can't wait to see you in person again. Gary's a great tattoo artist.
Spiritual tattoo
Spiritually, he puts his craft into his art form, and he does a wonderful job.
We're having a few little technical weird things.
Yes, so we're at that moment in light.
So I've lost the video, but we're still
Right.
we're still going. It's just I can't see
We
it.
lost that moment in light, and Facebook's being weird. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got what you needed out of it. Remember, giving offerings is about building that relationship so that you can come back later and create the exchange of something else. Those aren't offerings, those are payments. When we pay Spirit to do something for us, it looks like an offering, but it's not an offering. Okay. Anything else to add?
No, I was making sure that I didn't miss any questions.
Awesome.
You guys are always free to reach out to either one of us if you have questions after the video's over.
So we're going to stop this video. Please stay tuned on my page. I'm going to do something I haven't done ever, and I'm going to give a little bit of political point of view, but not here because it's inappropriate. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night.
Bye.
My mouse died.
Your mouse died.